So we'll start off the meetings with Pledge of Allegiance. Will you join us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. We have quite a crew tonight. Hi there. We do have lots of business to go through today, so it may go a little slow from time to time, but we will work our way through this. All right. Start off with the minutes for the April 4th meeting. And you were all here for that one. So.
Yes, and I have looked it over. If you guys have, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for April 4th, 2022.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye. All right, next up, payroll in the amount of $182,665.42. Kind of little.
Motion to approve payroll in the amount of $182,665.42.
I'll second that.
Move a second to approve payroll in the amount of $182,665.42. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then we just need to acknowledge receipt of the payroll claims report.
And I make a motion to acknowledge and receive the payroll claims in the amount of $57,244.73.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, as we get into new business, we have something we've been dealing with for a while, but we have some new reports today, so Roy's here someplace. Here, Roy, why don't you come up, Roy? Roy's got an appointment, but I asked him to come today and make this report for us and to tell us where we are with this issue with the correcting the pay for the county employees. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you got, Roy?
Okay, so when we, Jim and I attended the reclosing meeting of the audits in March, and the Board of Accounts had made the determination that the vast majority of salaried employees in county government had been overpaid. They had been overpaid, in a simplistic way of putting it, they had been overpaid a day due to the split pay at the end of 2019. The council had adopted 2020 forward a salary ordinance that eliminated the split pay. However, in the finalization of the split pay concept, there was an overpayment that happened. They determined it to be one day. They calculated all the elected officials, whether it was the three of you, the seven of us, or the other elected office holders, and reported those numbers to us. It was upon us to figure out what everyone else would have owed. They did not do those calculations. So therefore, I had done a lot of those calculations in one method. So in our conversations, I went forward with calculating that. So I had used the calculations that I had done initially to come up with a number for each salaried position. And then did another check, because there are some lines in our budget where multiple people are paid from that same line. And there are also situations where there would have been a vacancy involved. And that calculation, by using the salary and a carried forward encumbrance and looking at transactions through that line, would not work. So after the Board of Accounts identified that the individuals had been overpaid a day, I did a second set of calculations for all those same lines to determine whether or not what a day's pay was for that individual.
Give me just a moment. For those who don't know, Roy is on the county council, and he's the one really who does all the budget stuff, so that's why he's the one dealing with these budgetary questions.
So from that, when I got to that point, you had a number for every line. So I used that situation as a check to the calculations that were done the other way. In some cases, we came up with situations where individuals were not overpaid. There was an elected official, the sheriff, who was not. There were some salaried positions who were not. The salaried positions in the ambulance service were not overpaid. The highway superintendent was not, and there were a couple other ones that I kind of remember without having all that in front of me. So those individuals, if it could be proven that they were not, were exempted. If the method 1 yielded a higher number than method 2, then method 2 got used. So any error was done in favor of the employee, whatever the lower calculation method would come up with. When it was all said and done, the other piece to this is that anybody no longer employed was exempted. However, anybody employed in a different position was included at the position they were at on February 14th of 2020. So from that, we came up with this the resolution that you have to consider. This was vetted back with the attorneys. It was vetted back with the State Board of Accounts and given the blessing that this would accomplish the findings of the audit.
We have a copy of that resolution in front of us.
The auditor has the original.
Okay. This is a resolution the council passed the other day.
Yes, this is a joint resolution between both bodies. The council adopted this on Thursday.
Is this the one you emailed me?
Yes. The back amendment or the appendix to this has the list of employees, the name, the amount, and where they are currently if they're not in the same position.
One question I have for you. Did you take into consideration if somebody had started mid-year or only 3 months, was they still overpaid a day?
They were not. If they were not employed as of February 14th, 2020, they were not included.
Okay.
They were not included in it because they did not receive the overpayment because it happened prior to that point. When the catch-up pay happened, it was on that pay date.
All right.
So that was the date that was determined to be the one that would set the thing in motion. If the pay happened on that day, that was the one that counted. The one exception in this resolution is another finding that was in that audit report that's included in it, and that member of the county council that was paid $1,000 to write the 2019 budget is me, and that was paid back to the treasurer Thursday morning before our council meeting.
What that is about, you wonder, the councils can hire outside entities to do the budget work and pay them a fee to do the budget work. So the council did that in good faith. Roy does all the work. So they paid him that $1,000 to do the budget work. Turns out that a member of the council can't be paid for the extra work because the state figures that as part of the job. So had they paid someone else to do that, that payment of $1,000 for doing the same thing that Roy did would have been okay, but it's not okay since he's on the council. So he has paid that money back.
Correct. Or any?
No. And we decided we would do this on one day, on one payday to get everybody done, and it's over at the same time, and that was the second payment in July 15th, something like that?
Oh, it was July 18th is the day. It would be withheld, with the exception, there's one other exception, of course, there's always exceptions to every rule. There are 2 elected officials who are no longer employed. The Board of Accounts required that we go back after that from them, so they will be required to pay that back by check. Without, there is nothing to withhold.
And we have checked, State Board of Accounts is okay with this. This will resolve the issue and take care of that issue. We have other issues later that we still have yet to deal with, and we'll talk about how we're in the process of dealing with those, where the deductions did not match what was being paid, or if they were being paid to the entities they were deducted for. But that's an issue ongoing that we'll talk about it in a little while. So you guys got any questions on this resolution? Nick, you okay with it?
Yep.
Okay.
I would like to ask Chris, I know you've been doing some calculating, do you?
Yeah, I spoke with Roy on it, and I just looked at 2019.
Okay.
And when I looked at that, it was correct, then Roy explained that it went out farther. I looked and 100% agree with what he said.
All right,
So we just need a motion then to adopt resolution number.
2022-04.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make that motion since I got it right there. 22, I make a motion we adopt resolution 2204. Has already been approved by the council.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve our part of this joint resolution, resolution 2022-04, a joint resolution of Board of Commissioners and County Council of Parke County, Indiana, setting terms and conditions for recuperation of overpaid salaries for employees of Parke County government. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay, and you signed that a minute ago, and Laura needs to attest.
If you'll indulge me for a moment while I'm here.
Yeah, let me tell you what this is about. If you've been following all our broadband efforts that have been going on for years, but there was a process through the state offering grants to internet providers who were looking for addresses throughout the county to serve those. And so finally that report has come back, and that's what Roy's going to explain to you right now, who got what grants for what areas.
Now, there's not any detail with this at this
Right,
point,
right.
right? So
This is just how many addresses do they get to cover?
we had 3 providers apply for Next Level Connections grant funding in Parke County. AT&T applied for, I believe their number ended up being in 140 some addresses in our county, but we were in a multi-county cluster, 5 counties. They received an award for 1,208 addresses with Parke County included in that. Bloomingdale Home Telephone applied finally for 36. They received funding for 33. Joink applied for 53 addresses and received funding for 40 of those. That's as of press this afternoon. So
These are for addresses that are currently not being served by broadband. And the reason there's different companies, we have different companies serving different areas of the county. So these are those companies that look to expand their service to include those addresses, and that's what the grant was being sought for to accomplish, and that's the result. So actually it came out pretty
yes,
good on that.
that's good news for us.
And then the county has a match going in that of about $1.5 million that we are committing from our American Recovery Plan toward that, and that's one of the main purposes of the American Recovery Plan. So we should be sufficient funds that we get all those addresses met. So anybody got any questions on the?
Okay.
You've done well. You did okay.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go right down our list here, and Carla, you're up first.
Gentlemen,
I'm not sure what else Carla's going to talk about, but I asked her to come because I got a couple calls from a couple people who had the insert in their pay last time about the iPad, and they weren't sure if they had to turn that in, if it was voluntary insurance, what that was, and how it was paid. So that's what she's going to talk to us about.
so IPAP for 3 years has had a program in place where they provide to all of their members, Parke County being one member, and all the participants in the IPAP plan, which would be your full-time, part-time, seasonal help, the W-2 help, that they have a program that's provided. It's an accidental death and dismemberment policy. As on the bottom of the flyer, I'm pretty sure it's with Chubb. Anyway, I was unaware of this. They've had it for about 3 years. Laura brought it to my attention back in December because when IPEP comes and does the audit, they made her aware that this benefit is included free of charge. Neither the employee pays anything into it, nor the employer. And so I did a little research, and IPEP told me that about 3 years ago, the retired owner, Tim Downey, you might remember Downey Insurance, because of our age. He was retired, he was in Florida. He read, I believe it was a newspaper article about, I think it was a male, that had been fatally injured in an accident in his hometown of Kokomo, Indiana. This person that died was not affiliated with IPEP in any fashion, but there were reports there was no family funds to take care of anything, and there was a GoFundMe situation going on, and he vowed that that would not happen to someone that was working for an IPEP member. So he approached their board of directors to provide this group accident policy for $10,000. As you can see on the flyer, you know, if you lose a hand, eye,
Yeah.
it's different. It's a sliding scale.
Yeah, they're all like that. Yep.
Right. So they totally fund it out of their operating expenses. Nothing gets passed on to the 650 some employers that IPEP has, which has over 41,000 individuals covered on this plan.
Okay.
They just have to be active W-2 personnel. So if it's a seasonal person that works just in the
Right.
summer and something happens to him in December,
Right.
he's not on the payroll.
Right. Okay, well, that's good to know, because we didn't know if it was a voluntary plan that was being offered.
Right.
Do the insert, employees didn't know if they had to fill that and send
Right.
that back in, or if they just should fill that and
Yes.
send it back in, so.
Well, and that came about because on his last visit to Parke County, they had 4 fatalities last year, and the company had no beneficiary forms on file.
Gotcha.
Just complicates things.
Right.
If it's a full-time person that has a beneficiary form on file with another program that they have through the county, they can use that. But if you don't have anything on file, it'd be best to have one filled out.
Yes,
This is 24/7 coverage too.
Right,
So,
not just at work, right?
Not just, it's
Yeah.
at work,
Yeah.
it's off work,
Yeah.
but it's an accident, not illness.
Right.
Um,
And that was my question, because we didn't know if that was something, because I didn't remember us ever voting on having accident
Right.
coverage. And so it wasn't, that's all I needed to know was that it wasn't covered, so I'm glad they're doing it.
Right,
It's
and-
nice program.
Yeah, and, you know, I told them they should be letting their agents know this so that when we see you,
Yes.
at
Know
least
what's going on.
annually,
Yes.
we can talk about
You
it
know,
and let
insurance
people
people
know.
have always been difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So anyway, I would recommend that they fill those out and have them
Okay.
on file. It's no cost to them, it's no cost to Parke County.
Is there something that either you or they could write up to send with the brochure? Because all it was a form, and it said you have to turn this in by a certain date. Is
Well,
there something we can make that explains what that is?
I don't know, I think that flyer does a pretty good job,
Okay, if
but
we-
if you want me to do
No,
some kind of
if
an
we can include
insert.
that, okay, if we can include that next time, but just the explanation that you don't have to pay anything on this, it's to your
Right.
benefit, it's just to identify who your beneficiaries are and explain what you have, so.
Right, it's
Some
good
simple
to
way to
know.
explain that to them, yeah. Because the concern was, are we being charged with this, or did you see where I owed? And, well, I don't want to give them any information, if I don't have to give them information, and.
But I'd be happy to type up a memo of
That'd
some
be great.
type too, to send with it since,
You've done this a
we-
long time, so whatever it takes, what do you think would best explain it to you?
yeah, and that might be best too, that they know that they may not even know who IPEP is.
I'm sure they don't, yeah.
So I'll type something up that can be included.
Unless they get injured, they never hear it, then they would know nothing about them, so, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
You did good, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Carla is our agent for our workman's comp, that's how this comes into play here. All right, I'm going to, I don't want to jump around and expand and leave anybody here, so we'll try to follow the agenda the best we can. So next up, we have Lee Zimmerman from Vermillion County. He's coming up to talk to us about, as you know, the bridge we did at,
Take your chair with you.
I'll stay, I'm
Okay.
fine. And this will be quick.
man, you're traveling tough company here today.
And I
too.
have, and my name is Les
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Oh, did I say Lee?
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
I have my colleagues here, Tom Milligan, Thomas Hardesty, and Dave Marietta is with me too.
Okay.
We're all here from across the river. And yes, you did. You built a pedestrian bridge
Yep.
at Montezuma
Yep.
in 2017.
You are making my life easier because I've had so many people call out the bridge to nowhere. Where does it go? What's going to happen there? And I
So
said,
now,
Vermillion County's going to take care of that, and you have.
but now we got the burden. Now we have a trail to nowhere.
Yeah, I understand.
So what are you gonna do with that?
I understand.
So anyway, we have some things that we would like to discuss with you about that trail and about what amounts now to a collaboration and a partnership.
Yes,
We're
it is.
we're partners now,
Yes, we
whether
are.
you like it or not.
I agree.
But I remember reading it was always kind of funny, I read the article in the newspaper back in 2017, and it said you all put that bridge and it empties into the floodplain wilderness
That's
of
you guys.
Vermilion County.
That's you guys, yeah.
Yeah. So we tried to rectify that, and we do have our trail is essentially complete,
That's great.
and it goes all the way over to the active rail line. We currently have a grant application in to take it across the rail line.
Is the railroad working with you on that? Have they agreed how you can do
We
that?
have a next level trails application in as we speak,
Okay.
and we're waiting on a decision on that this spring. That's the
Great.
best they're gonna tell us, this
Great.
spring, so we're gonna see how that works out. But the plan then is to take a bridge across Little Raccoon Creek, private property, which we have options on, to a trailhead at the public crossing,
Great.
at which point we'll be
Great.
full partners at that
Great.
point. So, anyway, our question today for you, we've got a couple things to talk about, but the bridge at this point in time has this big concrete barrier, which is needed. You need a barrier there to keep the cars from trying to go down there. Who was it, Joe Cox?
Yeah, he was.
Had a car come up behind him when he was working.
putting, we already put the rail, the post and the rails, but he's coming behind us putting the rest of the screws in it. And he's over there working and he's, oh my gosh, 90% of the way across the river. And looks up and there's a van coming down this walk bridge, just driving down this bridge. And she thought that their other bridge was closed, they were working on it, so she thought this was maybe a bypass, but.
So we understand why you got the block there, the concrete block, because it is pedestrian and bicycle traffic only.
Yes.
Right? Okay, but we are concerned for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's no way to get an emergency response vehicle in there. We think that's important for both of us. Most of the access for any emergency vehicle is gonna come from Montezuma and maybe Hillsdale. So how can we rectify that? Our concept is to take that concrete block out of there and replace it with some bollards.
Yes.
One of which would be removable.
We talked about those originally, but Montezuma could, they had four-wheeler, which could have access to the bridge. You guys didn't have anything over the edge, so there'd be nobody over on the other side, but you would cover the bridge by taking a four-wheeler in. It's wide enough for four-wheelers, wide enough for handicap accessibility, but not wide enough for a car to get in there. Of course, motorcycles could.
Or really an emergency response vehicle. It's
Right.
likely gonna be like a Ranger.
Yes, yeah. So this is a great idea. So how do we do that? What do you need from us?
We need you to say this, hey, this is a cool idea, and then we need to figure out how we're gonna pay for it.
Okay.
If we share the cost, we're happy to share the cost. We don't wanna bear the cost.
I would prefer you bear the cost.
Well, but we wanna share. We wanna share everything we have.
I understand, yeah.
So anyway, and we're throwing this out for your consideration. I don't know that we'll come to a conclusion today, but I think the other part of this is we need access to that also to do some minimal maintenance, particularly in terms of spraying herbicide
Sure.
on the edges of our
Sure.
trail.
Sure.
And Tom, he's got the Ranger with the spray boom.
Okay.
And we've already done it one time. We were out there last summer. We talked with the Montezuma Parks Board, and they gave us permission to go out there as long as we didn't tell anybody.
Oh, man. See? how
So
you are.
we ended up ramping on it. And then you all, by the way, you've got two big concrete chunks that are sitting over on our side, and we didn't get them out for you.
Okay.
We didn't steal them. They're
We'll
still
sell
there.
those to you, whatever the cost of the motor is. We'll just trade you those for the cost of the motor. If you want to do
They're gonna
that.
trade.
Boy,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
these guys are shrewd, man. These guys are shrewd. Anyway, that's one thing. Second thing,
Well, before you go on, do you have a cost on, I know, a cost on
do
the
not,
motors? Okay.
have not, and I think, I was out there the other day and walked it, and I think you might get by with just two.
Okay. Bollards, if you don't know the rest of it, that's those posts, those pedestals.
Probably
that
like
you're allowed
I
to
want
walk,
to say
you
a
can walk
4
around.
inch,
But they
5
make them that
inch.
are removable. You can unlock them from the bottom, take it off the stand, now you can drive over that with the emergency vehicle and put it back when you're done. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, just come up with the cost, we can figure out how to do that.
And they're not that expensive.
No, they're not, they're not.
And even when I was talking, when Tom and I went over to the Parks Board at Montezuma, and one of them said, well, we'll get Jerry Newland to make them.
Yeah, he's the
But he
tank
wasn't
builder
there,
guy.
so they volunteered him in his absence.
Okay.
Okay, make that
They're
clear.
not that expensive.
No, that'd be fine. Are we looking at concrete, are we looking at metal? Are you
Just,
I think metal, just
Okay.
metal pipe, probably
Okay.
like I'm gonna say a 4 or 5 inch pipe painted yellow.
Okay, I've seen the concrete coated ones where still metal posts, but it's got concrete over the outside, typically white concrete over the outside. And the bottom locking mechanism, just a pin going through is all that is. You turn the key and pull the pin out and slip it right up and put it back there
That's
again.
correct. That's
So
exactly-
whatever you guys need to come up with, and just let us know what our meager share is of your 90% U project. I like that, okay, and we'll work that out.
Okay.
I think, I am thrilled that you've got that going over there. I think it's a great thing for both of our counties to have this.
Well, I don't know if you're privileged to some of the weird visions that we have about having a 3-county loop. I mean, we're in not constant, but often contact with our counterpart over here, Park Trails Alliance.
Yep.
We're also talking with Riverscape in Vigo County.
Oh, that's great.
And we're talking about having a 30 to 40 mile loop,
I just spoke at a group
but it's all 3 counties.
in Hendricks County, because in Avon, because they're working on theirs as well. What the real envision of the B&O groups is to come all the way from Indy to over here and then.
we're the terminus for the B&O Trail.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely.
And that's gonna mean hotel rooms eventually and restaurant use eventually, but it's gonna be a walkable. We'll get there with that.
That's the
All
vision,
good.
and you're gonna have a vision to get there.
It is. Yes.
And then you gotta have segments,
Yep,
and they'll fill in.
yep,
And it may be not in our generation, may not be in my lifetime,
yep.
but you did your part, I did my part, Tom did his part,
That's all we can do.
and that's all we can do. So,
Well, you just figure out what you want and just bring it to us, show us what our share is and what design you want, and we're not gonna be picky on that, because you're gonna do it wisely, so. I'm not
appreciate
concerned about
appreciate that. The other item is, do we have, and I forgot to take notice, is there a non-motorized traffic only, like a?
On our side, there is, yes.
Okay,
There is
because
sign
there was a
for that.
motorcycle out there, a dirt bike,
Oh, I know.
out there the other
When
day.
we first put the concrete pieces up to block it off, on your side, so I think it was your people causing all the trouble, I think that's where it came from.
No, he was coming from Montezuma, but he was going to Hillsdale and never came back, so he must have jumped the track.
We had boards across the end that we had fastened across the end of the block so that people couldn't do that. Well, they had knocked the boards all the way back in, made a ramp out of it so they could ramp themselves over that concrete
That's
slab.
even more fun, right?
Yeah, that was good. So, yeah, I think it's great, and I'm thrilled. I know you guys have been working on this a long time, so I'm
We have,
thrilled.
we got 4 years on this,
Yep,
and
you
we
did.
finally, it's substantially complete.
Yep.
And so now I'm going to defer to Thomas, he's got another topic for you,
Okay.
and he'll be equally as brief, right?
I'll be equally as brief, yeah. In that spirit of cooperation, I have an idea, and I need your approval on something. The good news is I'm not here today to ask for money, so keep that in mind. So let's talk about the trail that comes off the bridge. The Park Trails Alliance and the Vermilion Trails
On our
Alliance.
side or your side, or both?
So the Vermilion Trails Alliance has just released use for the trail on the Vermilion side of the bridge this year.
Okay.
The idea to kind of raise awareness and promote both groups is to have a 5K and a fun walk
Great.
that starts in Parke County, goes over the bridge, goes into Vermilion County on the trail, and obviously comes back.
Great.
A way to spotlight both organizations, hopefully raise awareness and get some families out there. And the long-term vision for this is a way to raise awareness for both groups, but also to have an event that people look forward to.
Sure.
That's housed in Parke County that celebrates both counties, for the future. So I spoke with Diana Bartlow briefly on the Montezuma Parks Board about this, and she let me know that I need to get the commissioner's approval for use of the walkway on the B&O Bridge.
Sure.
So what we'd like to do is officially plan this event. Our date that we're thinking of is Saturday, September 24th. Like I said, there's going to be a 5K and a fun walk, and I'm hoping that there will be enough people out there that people get curious and they meander down there, go across the bridge, down the trail some on their own. But we do want to have an official event on Saturday, September 24th. So I would like to ask for approval for the use of the walkway for that day.
What do you guys think? They sound dangerous to you?
I have no problem with it.
No, I think you'd be a good,
Oh,
like you said,
fun,
good for
be a
both.
fun thing, and I agree with you. If we plan that every year to do something like that, that'd be great. So is that a motion then to?
Yeah, I took a motion.
And I'll second
Okay,
that.
so move a second to authorize these guys to plan an event using the walk bridge there at Montezuma. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
You got it.
Thank you.
Tell them what you wanna call the event.
Oh, it's gonna be over the river and through the woods.
I like it. I like it.
If anybody has an idea for a logo, let me know.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to the day when we'll have a grand opening and you'll be on one side, you'll be at the bridge and we'll have Tim Yoakum on the other side to pass that torch,
There you go.
We've had, well, I guess we call it a soft opening at this point. We want to have a celebration at some point.
And have some folks around, some
That's right.
dignitaries, what have you.
Sure.
Because this is a big deal.
It really is.
And I tell you, and here's the other part of that is I had to bribe your counterpart, Tim Yoakum over there. I had to bribe him to get him to come out and help us finish the concrete, the apron.
Mhm.
I says, if you come out here and do it, then I'll let you stand on it so you can take the torch from Jim and me.
I like it. I like it. Guys, we appreciate all you've done. It's great. Looking forward to it.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. All right, next up we have Elizabeth James from Charter Communications. So I know Charter's presented to some folks before, but really for us, this is a new name in the broadband area.
Yeah.
So we're glad you're here. We're glad to hear what you got.
Yeah, keeping in the spirit of broadband, Roy did a decent introduction. Although what I'm going to talk to you all about today is dealing with federal funds.
Okay.
So that was a state initiative,
Right.
and this is strictly federal. Charter Communications is Spectrum.
Before you go, just so
Yes,
I have
sir.
in my mind when you're talking,
Yeah.
do the requirements change? And I know on roads, if the feds get involved, it's a whole different ballgame than just state money. It's the same thing with broadband. Do we have things extra we got to do for this federal money as opposed to this state money?
No, we
Okay.
as a provider have some different things we have to do
Okay.
as far as the bidding process
Okay.
and things like that.
But as far as our end, it's.
No,
nothing.
and there was no, you're probably really getting at the contribution.
Mhm.
There was no contribution. So in the spring of 2020, the FCC put up a reverse auction for unserved census blocks around the country. Parke County had a lot of unserved census blocks, meaning receiving less than 25 or 3. So you all, I think, just about the entire county qualified.
I'm on one of the best in the county. It's 10-1. So
Yeah.
25 and 3. We saw
There
that
you
going to
go.
be a minimum. It's like, well, we don't have anybody reaching the minimum other than the
Right.
courthouse.
Right. So those census blocks went up for bid, and then providers could bid on them, so it was a reverse auction. Charter Spectrum was the largest awardee in the country, second largest in Indiana. And what I'm going to talk about complements what Roy talked about is those recipients cannot overlap where we are going to be building. So it's not going to be duplicative efforts,
Okay.
which is good for the end user.
If you do have a conflict, you get priority over them? Is that the way that works?
So we got priority as far as what was already deemed served by the federal government, or what we received funds for from the feds, was not up for auction from the state. Because the state didn't want to spend money where the federal dollars were. So it's good, it all worked
Separate
out.
already.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you guys can visualize, I know we don't have a projector, drop some maps.
Can you explain what a census block is?
Yeah, sure. So census block is how we kind of divvy up broadband.
You have
Right
another
now.
one of those, man?
Yes, sir. There's a certain allotment of people in the census block. They're determined when the census is taken every time, and then if it used to be that if one house in that census block was served, and the whole census block was being served, and that was really unrepresentative, right? So
So it's just population pockets.
right, population pockets, exactly. We're, as an industry, trending away from the census block model and getting more into address level data, which is better for the end consumer, because it's more granular.
That was one of the problems with the federal maps for us on an ongoing basis.
Exactly.
It would show that we were a served area and we were not a served area.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Do they have the maps in front of them, Auditor, or they do not?
I didn't get any maps or anything.
Okay, no, that's okay.
You sent the power pole presentation, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sent that.
That out.
Yeah. If you guys have that, they have the
They don't,
really.
they don't have it because I thought you were bringing it.
Okay, I do. I
I'll
just
make
don't.
copies of it real quick for you.
Whatever's easiest for you. They just have the real zeroed in images of Parke
That's
County.
okay, you can just explain about it, we don't need to yet.
Sure.
That's okay.
So we received 1,286 passings in Parke County. It's a huge number. Passings means a home and or business for those that aren't familiar with the term. So that's kind of a loaded number. Within that, you could have an apartment complex. You could have, it's a very conservative number.
So if their lines are going down the road, it's all the places they could have attached to, but they're not attached to. That's what we're talking about.
Right, that's what we're talking about. So 1,286. Now that's going to be in addition to the numbers that Roy just gave you, right? Because it can't be duplicated. The vast majority of this build out is going to be northeast of the Rockville area, up towards Judson, Waveland. I can actually point to it. We're going to totally surround Turkey Run State Park, Raccoon Lake. We will totally encompass.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a pocket just to the west of Rockville. So right over here, there will be a pocket.
Okay.
All of those areas together will encompass 1,286 homes and or businesses, all with fiber.
Okay.
This will not be coax. This will not be cable. It will be straight fiber optic cable.
And 25.3 at least.
It will be gig capable. So that doesn't mean the resident has to subscribe. Just to be clear, some folks if it's
But
there,
it
they
won't
have.
meet the specs of 25.3, which everything else.
Right. So we Spectrum bid on gig capabilities, which means we have to carry that out, or the feds will take back our dollars. The federal government loves acronyms. The acronym for this is RDOF, Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. Parke County also was awarded, or LTD Broadband also won some census blocks in Parke County, if you all are familiar. There's talk that they may relinquish those. Nobody knows for sure yet. If they were to, we would then look to expand. This is timeline, typically is what everyone wants to know about. We have completed the walkout, which means our guys actually go out and walk out on foot the path for this. We met with Randy Norman earlier this morning to get an idea from him, what he needs from us, and we will be beginning construction kind of early to mid next year with end date of 2024, beginning of 2024. So this is here and now. We've already lit up other customers in the other areas of the state. So
I know that's not like a long time to you, but we've waited so long for this.
Oh, no,
I'm
yeah.
excited about getting that.
yeah, and the cool part is we already have the dollars. We've secured the infrastructure. We're ready to go. We just need the county support and
Especially for us around the lake, just to give you an example.
Yeah.
We have so many people who would like to run their businesses from there. There's so many businesses anymore. You can
Sure.
run from your home, your office, but
Sure.
you can't do it on
Right.
10-1. You just
Right.
can't do that. So to have
Right.
that opportunity now in those areas specifically, that's great.
You might get asked by residents or constituents, well, I'm in the white area. I'm in the white space. I'm not in the green is where we're, yep, there you go. So he's got the maps pulled up. If they're not in our service pocket and if they're not in one of the providers for the state, it's probably because their area is technically receiving 25.3 or up. Now, it's subjective. Yeah. It's subjective as to whether or not it's good service. But that's why their area wasn't up to bid.
Not being techie enough. One Dog Bloomdale is a wonderful company, just one, and they've done so much for us, but still we're at those levels of 10-1.
Right.
Do they have the capacity to get to the 25.3 if they're required to do that? Do they have the capacity to do that?
I don't think I'm at liberty to answer that for
Okay,
them.
I'll find out.
I think you could probably find out what they bid on at the state level. Do you know if it's a wireless service or not?
You know, it's fiber.
It is, okay. Then I would assume so.
Okay.
My assumption would be yes.
Well, it's one of those things where 10-1's okay, I mean, you okay, it's faster than
Yeah.
dial-up, that's all we can,
Yeah.
we can dial up the
Right, right.
day and night, so
Yeah.
that's okay. But if you've been in a place with more than 10-1, you get 25, or here in the courthouse, it's 100, so
Right.
we're zipper along, you just can't do it all.
But everyone in the green footprint will have gig capability, which nobody really needs in their house. So yeah, that is the thrust of what I came to present to you.
Well, I'm excited, I think it's great, we're glad you're here, we're glad it's finally all coming together, and
It is.
we understand there's still gonna be gaps in the county some places, but we're working on getting the vast majority piece by piece, and this is just another stone in that wall.
Well, we're constantly evaluating and reevaluating the white space to infiltrate. Pat Pfeiffer is the resident I've been speaking with here in the county on Hook Road, I believe.
Hook Road?
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's not technically in our RDOF build territory, but we are looking at what it would take to pick her up on the way.
I got you.
How many homes are in the area that you said this other company won the
LTD?
Yeah, that they
I
might
can
be
tell you.
giving it up. I mean, is that a large number or?
It is a large number, 720.
720?
Mm-hmm.
In addition to your 1,200
Mm-hmm.
that you've got, so if you could, if that does go out, you guys can pick that up, that's another.
So LTD is a very small company. The federal government still went ahead with awarding them census blocks all over the country. They have relinquished quite a bit in other states.
Right.
That's all I'll say.
Is there a time frame that they have to make some commitment of?
Absolutely.
Like finish this by 2024 or?
So we have to be entirely done. Every recipient has to be entirely done. The Parke County build and the national build. This is a national project.
Sure.
By the end of 2027. Charter's goal is by the end of 2025. If you haven't met certain benchmarks along the way, the feds will remove your dollar. So that's, we're kind of waiting till the 20% benchmark comes up, which should be the end of this year. And then that's when it would probably get relinquished further.
Were you here when we met with Representative Sean?
No.
He was here, and he was surprised to hear that there were some companies with RDOF, not you guys, there were some companies that were failing to get that, and there was no action being taken. He was really upset by that notion that could possibly fall through the cracks. So
Yeah.
I know he intended to deal with that, so maybe let's put some push in that.
They're aware. I actually, again, your resident Pat Pfeiffer has been in touch with Representative Victoria Sparks about the issue because it is an issue. They're kind of being held captive.
Yeah, they are.
We're aware of that, and we're trying to help her.
Good. Appreciate that.
No, absolutely.
You know, I always feel like I'm crying here when I'm talking to folks like this, but counties like ours, Parke County, in the eyes of the state, is so insignificant. We even had we were the second county in the state to be broadband ready. We did a $40,000 feasibility study, which we had to do to be considered for the next connection grant.
Right.
And for our council to approve $40,000 to do a feasibility study with no guarantee that if you get this, you'll get that. They're just spending money they don't have on things they're not going to get anything for. So that was a big deal. So then when Senator Braun came for a meeting, we were talking with him, and we had talked about how much it was going to cost, what we were going to get. And we had, I think, our match was around, I'll say 15 million, I think that's what it was something in the ballpark. And I said, well, that's a great project, we really worked to get to this point, but we don't have 15 million for this. He was surprised that a county government wouldn't have 15 million bucks sitting around someplace to apply to something like that. And I said, that is our county budget, that's our annual budget, 16 million, I think is what we had, but 15, that's our entire year county budget. He was surprised by that, so he hoped that they might be able to get some money to help with those matches even. I don't know if that's going to come to that.
Well, I think RDOF is speaking to that. So Parke County, RDOF was made for counties like Parke.
Yes.
If you look at the green in the state, I mean, we're going to your Fayette counties, your Franklin counties, your Parke. We had a huge awarding in Clay as well. Fountain, just north.
Great.
So
well, I'm excited.
It's, yeah. One thing I did want to ask of you all is that we will need to be crossing a bridge over, I think, Raccoon Lake. And we will need to attach to the bridge, actually attach the fiber optics to the bridge. And I assume that's something that we need your...
State.
It's not our call.
Okay.
It's the state's bridge.
Okay, that's the state.
36.
No, it's the Portland Mill Bridge.
Oh, you're not talking on Highway 36?
No.
Talking about 1170.
Yeah.
Oh, our bridge.
Our bridge. I thought you was talking US 36.
Yeah, you just attach whatever you need to attach, whatever you need to attach it to.
Okay. Okay.
We just, if you got a document for us to sign and vote on and give you permission to cover
Okay.
your insurance, we can take care of that. You
Okay.
just let us know what you need.
All right.
We are not going to be a burden, anything you want to do.
If we needed to go around it, it would add about 8 months.
Okay.
So.
Nope, not a,
Okay.
Randy, you see a reason not to do that?
No, I'd make a motion on
So, you just tell us what you need, provide us
Absolutely.
whatever documentation you need us to approve and sign, we'll get that to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you all because, believe it or not, a couple counties I've gone into, they are putting up hurdles right and left.
I just can't
So
say.
thank you.
In fact,
Really.
one of the things we did was what we opened up our rights of way, of course, to
Yeah.
run the thing through, and we made it that the companies that did business in Parke County, there wouldn't be property tax and equipment upgrades. What was that called?
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yeah.
Redevelopment zone or
Yeah,
something like that.
so they don't have to pay taxes on that upgrade. We're doing everything we possibly can to attract people like you folks to come and take care of us. It sounds like you're moving that way.
Oh, we're thrilled to be here. We hope we'll be here for
We
years.
don't seem to be a burden to anybody.
Years to come. So,
Great,
thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Well, that's exciting news. All right, thank you very much. All right, next group, you guys have been making fun of all evening. I know these guys through Richard Sutton. Richard Sutton is don't tell him I say anything nice about him, okay? He is to me, he's a health insurance guru in Indianapolis. He worked with the insurance trust for years. We started on the insurance trust there. I got to know him very well there. I have absolute confidence in anything that Richard's involved with that is going to be done as best we can in the right way. Trevor works with him for years, and Nick here is our go-between now. So you guys just
Thanks for having us, gentlemen. We'll make this quick. We've got two things we're going to discuss today. The first thing is going to be RX Protect. That's a program that helps the pharmacy side.
You remember how we talked about, and we have done with Henry's County, the orthopedics, where you can get the benefit of by going to that one, you save money? They're planning on the same thing with pharmacy as well as eventually with cardio as well. So.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and talk about the RX Protect program. It's a voluntary program that essentially allows the group health plan to get prescription drugs, some of your most high-cost prescription drugs, outside of your group health plan. So essentially, you're going to work with somebody, or you would work with somebody that's purchasing them at wholesale price, almost like you would at a Sam's Club or a Costco. So when you're purchasing these drugs at a wholesale price, you're able to get them at 30, 40, 50% off sometimes. And by doing so, we're able to help incentivize the members by not having any copays or paying towards any deductibles. So by putting this program in, essentially, you're able to purchase drugs at a much cheaper price outside of the health plan, and you're able to take away any copays or deductible amounts that your members are paying right now. So if we want to jump in and take a look at page 1, let's talk about the
Let me
details.
explain one thing first, because I think they're probably familiar with it. I'm not sure everybody would be. For example, at the clinics, maintenance drugs, there's no charge for those because
I get some of mine.
we can get them at a cheaper cost than having them go to a pharmacy, pay their deductible, we gotta pay the rest. It's still cheaper for us to get them this way and you give them to them. That's what we're talking about.
I've got some that I have to go to CVS, and it's on the list here, so.
Yeah. So that,
once you talk about it, I'll just.
yeah, that process that's in place wouldn't have to change. You know, this is a program that we're going to add in as another layer. We're not making anything mandatory for these particular people.
Is it a card carry thing like?
Nope.
Like Good RX or something?
Nope. So essentially, if the program's approved, what would happen is anybody that wants to get in the program goes online to the website and they sign up and they put their drug and their prescriptions in on the website. So it's essentially somebody creating an account online.
Okay.
You add your prescription, and then those drugs are sent directly to your home, so you don't have to go get them from the pharmacy anymore. They're actually sent directly to you through mail order.
The prescription, how does that work? Who do they give the prescription to show that they have a prescription for that?
So they'll request their prescription from their doctor. They'll put it on their profile online,
Okay.
and once it's on that online profile, then the RX Protect program sends them their drugs automatically.
Okay.
So essentially, the buy-in that people need to have is they need to go get their prescription that they have from their doctor right now, and they need to use that prescription and plug it in when they create their online account.
Okay. And when that expires, they just have, as normal, do it again with the doctor
Yep.
on the new one and enter the new one then?
Yep, in most cases, sometimes a doctor will write 3 to 6 refills.
Okay.
And if it's something that's done through mail order every 90 days, that's basically only 3 times a year you have to get it
Okay.
filled. Maybe 4 times a year you have to get it filled. So
Okay.
let's talk about numbers for Parke County and how it impacts the members here.
Okay.
So on average, you guys are spending about $300,000 on your pharmacy each year. the savings from this program, if all the members that were on these particular 24 drugs moved over, there's about $100,000 in savings per year. So about 33% or a third of your drug spend could be saved if all the members that were eligible for these 24 drugs moved to the program. So how many people does that impact? Right now, as your drug mix stands, it's about 89 members. So you probably have about 240, 250 belly buttons on the plan, about 110 people, about 240 belly buttons at the end of the day. So 89 members would be eligible. None of them would be forced into this program. Right. If we get it at 100% where all these drugs are signed up, it's $100,000 in savings. To me, even more important is $57,000 additional dollars that people are paying towards copays and drugs right now. All of that stays in their pocket. So $57,000 would stay in the pocket of enrolled Parke County members because they won't be paying for copays and deductibles. To me, that's the most important piece because you're impacting and helping the people that have the highest cost on drugs. We're not just going after the $5 and $10 drugs. We're talking about drugs here that are costing the plan $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month that we can get at half that cost and have them sent directly to their house. So, with all that said, these drugs are purchased through McKesson in Canada and they're sent here. They're not sent from China and then Australia and then New Zealand. All these drugs are purchased by McKesson, which is a pharmaceutical wholesaler. They're sent down directly to the members' houses through the program. So it's not like we're picking drugs out of Mexico and all over the world. These are coming right from Canada through the McKesson program. So we've got a list of the drugs that are impacted there. We've shared a contract with you guys. We would essentially put those 24 drugs in the contract. Members would have the opportunity to sign up. Pages 3, 4, and 5 include 3 different types of outreach that we could do to your members. Could send it through email. We could send it out to employees' homes if you like to do it. But essentially, we would share this marketing piece with everyone and saying, if you are enrolled in these drugs that are high-cost medications and specialty drugs and some diabetic drugs, if you like to enroll in this program, you have no cost share anymore. Why don't you have a cost share? It's because we're purchasing them at a price that makes so much sense that we're going to take your cost share off the plate.
And insulin is included in that?
Yes, a number of them. I believe Humira is listed in there, and that's, I think, isn't Humira one of the top insulins? Yes, and insulin is included.
I did have an employee call me probably a month ago. Just, I mean, they insulin is what they were buying. It was just, she was like $600 a month or something for her insulin. Jim, I think you probably got a call because I told her to call you because you knew more about the.
Well, I talked to another guy too. I mean, at one time they were looking at reducing the price of insulin down to $35 a month, no matter what it was. You know, it's just going to do that. But then the election changed, so that world changed. So I don't know if it's just, and I don't use insulin, so I don't know if it's a generic insulin or if this would cover those insulins that they're using. I don't know about that.
Yes, this would cover that member and give them an opportunity to purchase
use
it.
me as an example, I don't mind. I'm on Entresto. It's a heart medicine, and I pay at the pharmacy right now without my copay card. Now I've got a copay card through Entresto. It's good for $2,500, but then once that copay card runs out, I pay $10 a month as long as till I get to like $2,500.
Correct.
Then it runs out.
So that's exhausted.
And then I go to the full cost. And it's about a $600 prescription
For a
without
month.
the copay card.
For a month.
Per month.
Okay.
That's correct. So this would, if you do have a copay card from the manufacturer, you still able to do that?
That would be,
those copay cards go away.
That would go away because
you're paying a lesser amount.
Yep.
So
the copay card is purchasing it through the group health plan still. With this program, the drug's just being purchased through wholesale.
Okay. But someone like me, I would have to figure out, okay, if I'm paying $10 a month for 5 months, let's say, that's $50. Then I'm paying for 7 months, whatever, $600, unless I meet my deductible, which we usually do. But anyhow,
Entresto is going to cut in half here.
How much that would cost me versus buying 12 months at this new cost?
Well, it would cost you nothing because as a member of the plan, your cost share goes away.
Okay.
It would cost you nothing. The plan purchase it purchases at a much lower rate. And in order to help incentivize you to purchase it through a different channel, which is much more cost effective, you have no cost share. So you would not pay for this drug anymore through the RX Protect program. So the member would not have a cost share actually. A lot of what you see in the purple section with RX Protect is what the plan would be paying. Anytime your drug is through RX Protect, the drug is taken out of the plan, so you're actually not paying for it.
Excuse me just a second. He's got to go. He's our attorney.
Sure.
Did you get a chance to look at the Harris contract? To have the training come in?
No, I haven't.
Here's the amount. I don't think there's anything, we can look at that. The only unknown to that is just whatever the cost of the hotel and the cost of meals and the mileage.
It's 2 days, isn't it?
Yes, 2 days.
Actually, I think I did look at that one.
Okay, so you're okay with that then?
Yeah, nothing alarming.
Pretty
was
standard
on it. Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay,
Now that you show me that, I remember seeing it.
okay.
It was fine. It was standard form.
I have contracts here with core facilities that we want to approve. I don't know if you need to look at those.
I can look at it real quick. I got maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
sure?
But yeah, that's
All right. A few things. That's for the administration of the projects at the jail and the courthouse to core
Okay.
facilities, Matt Steckley.
Yeah, I talked to him a couple weeks ago.
Okay, we're okay with the price. I just want to make sure all the little fine print there that, you guys do this all the time. Make sure that you don't, no tricks anywhere.
It's job security.
I know it is. Yeah. You guys work together. I know.
They do the same thing.
Yeah, they do. Oh, don't bring us in.
Probably with somebody like me sitting there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
He just
no
said
problem.
He has to leave. I just wanted to look at the contracts we wrote on that today.
No problem. If we'd like to use Entresto as a real world example, when our marketing material went out, like on page 3, you would click to enroll in the program. You'd sign up an account. You put your prescription in the account, and then the drugs would be sent directly to your home address. You wouldn't have to pay anything. But the fact that through insurance, you guys are paying $3,000 a script for Entresto, by the wholesaler, you're paying $1,400. So every time you're getting it, the plan's saving $1,500. So it makes sense for them not to have to collect anything from you, because every time you need it, the plan's saving $1,500. Therefore, we want to incentivize you to get it through this program.
Right.
So in your case, you wouldn't actually pay for the drug at all, and the plan would save a number, $1,500 every single time you needed the medication. So there's an overview. What's that?
Same look as the orthopedic stuff. You see, we save so much money by going to Hendricks that we can actually pay our people an incentive to go there. But like $1,500.
I think it's important to note there's no PEPM or fixed cost here. You guys aren't paying per month if somebody hopefully uses it. The only time you're seeing any savings is when people are actually using the drug. And the cost of the program is already built into the numbers you see. So it's not like the cost of the program is whittling down these savings. That $101,000 for the group plan, and then the $57,000 in member pocket savings is all with everything built in too. So you're not adding costs.
And no one has to do this. It's just something you do. But the tough part is, I don't intend to say this. I hope it's not offensive to anyone, but we're basically most of our folks are not high tech. Most of our folks aren't going to maybe able to understand how this works, and they're going to be skeptical of everything changed medically. So is it a situation where you could come and meet with those groups and explain to them how this works? And
I would be happy to. Yeah, we could meet
on email to do it or something.
We could meet at the courthouse. I can walk people through the program. Be happy to do that. We could set up 1 or 2 different meetings.
Okay, what we typically done on those types of things is, especially enrollment, is we'll meet at least 2 places, 3 preferably, but here and then with the highway department, typically the ambulance comes there.
Yep.
And then maybe at the jail if we could do that, just to explain, because they're going to be real reluctant to make a change.
Yep. And at the end of the day, we'll have to get them to take ownership of creating an account.
I understand.
But as long as we can get them to understand that there's real savings for them, and this program is to help them really, and it helps Parke County at the end of the day. That's why it works, in our opinion. So that's kind of why we think that might be a good.
And there will be people who will not have access to email and won't have email, so we'll have to arrange for some place where they can come and do that, either here or the courthouse or someplace where we can designate a computer for them to go do that on their time, whenever that works. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
It's a different world here than you're used to. So.
Yep. But again, we're just trying to bring some new ideas that can help cut down and take costs off the members' plates too. So.
Well, that's more money they can leave in their HSA. They just let that grow.
Exactly.
That's their money.
And these are the people that are getting hit by the deductible and out-of-pocket limits every year too. So these are the people that need the support the most.
What do you need from us?
Just a signature on the contract.
Okay.
I can send that to you. I've got it with me, but I can send you in a digital copy, so you can sign from your end as well.
We can vote it today, I think. You guys got any questions or concerns? You want to think about it a while before we do it? I don't see a downside to it, because no member has to do it, and there's no cost to us to do it. So, you got any questions? You want to think about it a while? or-
I don't really, you say the contract is it here?
Yeah.
Is this
Nick, do you see any
something-
reason not to go ahead and approve it?
Depends on what the contract says.
Yeah. Yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Give us a copy.
I'm gonna leave a
I would
copy
assume
with
it's
him, and then I'm
pretty
gonna leave
standard stuff.
a copy with you.
Yes.
And we can follow up on a signed contract.
Be good.
I don't need to have signature on paper before we leave here in order for this to be a success.
I think our intent is to go along with that.
Yes.
Am I,
And we will have online reporting, so when we do commissioners meetings in the future, we can sit down with an additional sheet that says, here's the drugs,
Okay.
here's the savings, here's exactly what the plan was paying for them, here's what we're paying now. So we can make real clear cut. This isn't going to be, clear as mud. We'll make this very clear on what we're saving. So, any other questions on the RX Protect program?
Not for me. You okay, Bruce?
I think a lot of people will be very happy with it personally. I'll go ahead and turn it over to these gentlemen, Trevor and Brian, to go ahead and talk about the long-term disability and short-term disability.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So, as we were talking about earlier, what Nick does for the medical plan with Brown & Brown, I do everything non-medical. So when we took over your guys' plan back, October, November of 2021, we always do a complete overview of the plan. Any gaps in coverage, we just want to present it to you guys. Anything that's valuable to you, we think we need to make sure we put in front of you. Had a conversation with Jim when we got some of the age of record letters. For some reason, I just assumed you guys had a long-term disability policy that's built in for the employees. There was not one. And obviously with budgets, as budgets are today, budgets are tight. We work closely with One America, which ironically is who you guys have in place now as your life insurance, your group coverage and your voluntary. We work with them. One of the main reasons we work with them is their enrollment, their education. They want employees to, even if they're going to say no, that's okay. No is a perfectly fine answer. It doesn't work for them. They want to have an educated answer. They want to be educated of why they're making their decision. So, ironically, with you guys being able to already work with them, there's no introduction needed on the One America part, but we asked them to come and present the plan. These plans are great. They're voluntary, meaning employees can choose it. It will come out of their check only. The county's not paying a dime for this. That's a good thing for the county, obviously, because it's no money to you. But it's also good for the employee because the taxation, if something ever happens to them and they're receiving a benefit, and Brian will cover all this, the employees aren't taxed. The amount of money that they see as 60% of their income or whatever they're purchasing is a true benefit going to them. There's none of this taxation of it, so you lose an additional 35% in taxes and stuff like that. So anyway, when we were reviewing all your plans, we saw this gap that was there. We just want to make sure we presented this gap to you. You guys know that the long-term disability is something that might work for some people. Again, it won't work for everybody. So we want to bring Brian in. He'll cover it real quick, and then at the end we can kind of talk and answer questions and go from there. All right, Brian.
Great. So as Trevor said, I'm Brian Case. I represent One America, and we're your life and voluntary life insurance carrier. So hopefully you're familiar with us. We're based in Indianapolis. That's our home office. So we're an Indiana-based company. Oftentimes employees are looking to make sure they have income protection. And in that income protection, there's really only one true way to get long-term disability coverage, and that's through an insurance carrier, through a group insurance plan, unless you have someone who's a high-income earner, physician, attorney, etc. They might buy an individual disability policy, but those numbers are really small.
Let me ask you one thing, just to make sure they understand, because what we talk about. This is not a long-term care plan, like you go in the nursing home or something. This is if you get hurt and you don't have any income coming in, this is going to cover you for a designated amount of time, correct?
That's exactly
Off
correct.
the job. Job would be workers' comp, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, just to clarify, two things on that. There's short-term disability and long-term disability. We're going to cover both of those.
Okay.
So the short-term disability, to your point, to Trevor's point, that's going to cover someone if they're off the job. The long-term disability is actually 24-hour coverage. So if someone did get injured on the job, long-term disability would still pay. Best I can give you a quick example. Let's say someone was in an auto accident and that individual was on the job driving a county vehicle and they became long-term disabled. That benefit would still pay. It would actually integrate with workers' compensation so that the combination would pay whatever dollar amount that employee had elected, but it is 24-hour on the long term. So just a quick point of clarification on that, okay? So what we've put together, there's two pieces that are stapled here for you. The very first one, and once I go through this, the second one will make a lot more sense. We've shown you a couple of options. I want you to be aware there are other options that we can choose, but for simplicity for the meeting, we wanted to give you an idea of what we were talking about here. You'll notice we're talking about full-time employees, those individuals working 30 or more hours a week, and we've shown the short-term disability option 1 and 2. There's a 14-day elimination period, and that 14-day elimination period is the time period that the individual would need to be disabled from their regular occupation before benefits would begin. So it would begin on the 15th day.
Do they begin retroactively? Or
It does not. It begins on that day going forward. We can take that all the way down to 7 days as an example. That's the shortest elimination period that we offer. Let me again give you a quick example because I think that's better. Let's just say we had a maternity claim. Maternity claim, standard maternity is 6 weeks. So if we had a 14-day elimination period, it was a 6-week maternity, this would pay 4 weeks of benefit in that instance. Now, if someone was on bed rest the last trimester, that's a disability. They would get the disability during that whole time, plus postpartum, whatever that would be in that scenario.
Okay.
But that just gives you an idea. But this is an all-encompassing short-term disability plan. Accident, injury, any of those are covered as long as it's non-job related. So if someone's out playing weekend softball, blows out their knee, has an ACL that has to be repaired, they're going to be off work for 6 weeks, this pays in that instance, okay? So illness or injury, either one. The maximum benefit period, we've shown you 2 here, an 11-week and a 24-week, and the reason for that is when we show you the long-term disability plan, the idea is those would dovetail together.
Okay.
So if an employee wanted both short and long-term, they could do that to protect themselves. They wanted one or the other, they've got the option to do that also. Okay. So that maximum benefit duration, that's the maximum number of weeks that's payable. And then the weekly benefit amount, this first option that I'm showing you is an incremental plan. And you'll notice the employee can choose any dollar amount in $100 increments with a minimum of $200 and a maximum of $1,500. All of this, by the way, would be explained to the employee. So to the point when you were mentioning the RX, we would prepare an individualized packet for every employee, would have their name, their salary information, and whichever plan design was designated, we would show those plan designs and then their cost. We can show that weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, however you want to illustrate that. So they don't have to do any calculations on their own to figure the cost.
Where do you see that? I don't see the ones with the dollar amount, $100 increments.
So this is there were 2 proposals right down here where it says maximum weekly benefit amount, increments of 100.
Okay.
Yep, okay. So this plan is guarantee issue. What that means is there's no medical questions. Everybody can sign up for the plan. There's a 312 pre-existing clause. Probably familiar with 312, but I'll tell you just very quickly, treatment, diagnosis, or medical service 3 months prior to their individual effective date is not covered for the first 12 months. Let's use diabetes as an example. You talked about that with RX. Someone's diabetic and they're taking insulin, that's pre-existing. They're taking that every day. 3 months prior to their effective date, they were taking that. It wouldn't be covered for the first 12 months. But during that 12 months, everything else is covered. Anything non-diabetic related, any accident, and after 12 months, it's fully covered. There's no longer a pre-X clause.
Any questions on that?
Okay.
Anything you've been treated for the previous 3 months won't be covered for 12.
Right. And if there's no treatment, obviously an accident, there's no pre-X in that scenario. Okay. The next page of that is benefit features. I'm not going to read those to you. It's an all-encompassing, highly effective short-term disability plan. The next page is the rate structure. And again, not to get hung up on this, but the rate structure, those are age-rated rates. So it's going to vary in 5-year age brackets, depending upon the age of that individual. Those rates stay in that 5-year age bracket until the next 5-year age bracket anniversary date. So let's say an individual was 44, the anniversary date of the plan, let's just pick a date and say it was January 1st. The January they turned 45, they would stay in that bracket until they turned 45 to 49. And then at 50 plus, it would go from there. But again, we would put together information for the individual, and it would give them specifically what their specific cost is. Okay?
Okay, let me get this in my head right when I get asked the question. So
Yes.
we're talking, say someone wanted $100 coverage, weekly amount. And
200 is a minimum, Jim. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a $100 increment, but 200 is the minimum.
I got you.
Yes.
Okay. 200.
Yeah.
And let's say it's me, 70 plus. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't be eligible because I'm not a full-time employee.
Yes.
So 70 plus, and that says monthly rate, premium rate per $10 of weekly benefit. So if I was getting 200, That would be $10 benefits, so it would just cost me $20 then a month for that coverage?
So $100 in this instance, that's correct. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Okay. So if you'll go to the next page is the long-term disability. So long-term disability, and remember, as I mentioned earlier, the employee can purchase short-term disability, long-term disability, both, or neither. It's their choice. Long-term disability is going to be able to protect that person that has a disability, and we've ran 2 elimination periods here, a 90-day or a 180-day. So let's just look at the 90-day elimination period. If they didn't take short-term, once they were totally disabled for 90 days, and by total disability, again, it's their own occupation, that benefit would begin on the 90th day. And then down below that, it's SSNRA, because in the insurance business, we love acronyms. That stands for Social Security Normal Retirement Age. You're probably familiar with that, but anybody born after 1960, Social Security Normal Retirement Age is age 67.
So the reason why you would do both short-term and long-term is to cover the period from 14 days to 90 days.
The reason you do short-term and long-term, that's exactly right. If you said, I've got the financial wherewithal to be disabled for 90 days, and I could handle that, self-fund that, but if I became disabled for 90 days or 180 days or a year, I'd run out of money pretty quickly. Somebody may decide they want long-term only in that situation.
Gotcha.
But it would cover that person all the way up to the Social Security full retirement age. Let me give you one really quick story on this, and this just happened to a group that we wrote. We had an individual signed up for the plan. He was on the plan for less than a year. It was the summertime. He jumped into a swimming pool. It was too shallow, became a quadriplegic. He had signed up for short and long-term disability coverage. The bad news is he became a quadriplegic, and he's going to be in a wheelchair the rest of his life. He survived. The good news for him and his family financially, though, is he purchased voluntary short and long-term disability coverage. So he is going to have, in this instance, he chose 60%, and I'll show you that option. He chose the 60% option. He's going to have 60% of his income replaced, to Trevor's point, on a tax-free basis for the rest of his life. And for him, he was in his 40s. He's going to go all the way up till age 67. So it's an employee choice in that instance. You'll notice this also is $100 increments if you decide to go the incremental amount with a 312 pre-X. So same 312 pre-X, it's all guarantee issue. And then again, the rate structure is there. Those rates are listed. And LTD is different. LTD is rated on per $100 of covered, in this particular instance, on the 100% of the monthly disability benefit that the person chose. Okay. But again, the employee doesn't have to calculate any of that on their own. We do all that for them so they know exactly what the cost is. Okay. Let me show you, if you look at the next piece that's stapled together, what I want to show you on that piece is the plan design, everything that we talked about is the same. The difference is, oftentimes employers will choose a 60% plan, and that's what this is. This is replacing 60% of income on the short term up to $1,500 a week, and on the long term, it's replacing 60% up to $5,000, $6,000 a month. Now, why did we show you both of those? Here's the reason for that. If you looked at Aflac and Colonial as an example, and if those carriers are offering an accident or a short-term plan, they allow employees to purchase it in those $100 increments. And so we wanted to create a plan that more similarly looked like that. Frankly, as an insurance carrier, and it's not because it generates more premium, we would direct people towards a 60% of income plan. And the reason for that is we don't want someone to sign up for a disability plan, only take $200 a week, and then not to be able to meet their expenses as a result of it. It really didn't do its job. Not overly concerned about that on short term because it's a short term. But if they do that on long term, and in this instance that I gave you this gentleman just last summer, if he would have only chose $1,000 a month, probably wouldn't have kept it in his house.
Right.
Probably wouldn't have educated his children. Wouldn't have protected his income the way 60% would do. So my job is not to steer you as an employer to one way or the other, but if you decided you wanted to implement the voluntary plans, you would choose, your employees would either get an incremental or the 60% plan. That would be a choice that you would make at the commissioner level.
We'd make that
you would make that choice, right. And then the employee would choose whether they wanted short-term, long-term, both, neither.
And what determines the termination of benefits? You're no longer disabled, or how does
Yeah,
that work?
it's a great question. So on short-term disability, it's regular occupation, and it's always determined by their physician. So their physician will say, this person cannot do their regular occupation for X period of time. On long-term disability, the difference in that is it's their regular occupation for the first 2 years. After 2 years, it's they cannot do any occupation by training, education, or experience. So it's a change in definition, but quite frankly, most people still get a benefit after 2 years, because if they're disabled, they normally can't go and have a transferable skill, although they could. But it's all determined by their physician. We, of course, have an independent review by a physician, but that would be our burden of proof to say they're no longer disabled. We rely on their physician to be able to do that.
Yeah, and administratively speaking, the 60% plan is a little cleaner, because I'm not sure what the HR area for Parke County looks like. However, if someone were to call and say, hey, I'm getting ready to go off, can you tell me what am I going to get? Maybe they're going off for maternity or something.
We don't have one.
Okay. Well then, so that's going to be, yeah, I mean, with the 60% plan, they always know they have 60%. Yes. 60% of your income. There's not any that's going back and figuring, looking at a bill saying, okay, you chose the 200, you chose the 400. Yep. It's flat 60%.
That'd be stuff we and the auditor would have to know.
There you go. So there you go. Yeah.
So
it would be cleaner.
2 other key items. I know this question would come up, or you would be thinking about this. Because this plan's guarantee issue, we do have an enrollment participation requirement. It's 25%. That 25%, we combine short and long-term disability. We just need 25% of the employees to sign up. If they sign up in short and long-term both, they count as one person. They can't count as 2.
130 employees.
We've got about 120.
120 or so.
Yeah, I think
We've
it's based on.
got quite a bit of people on AFWAC and.
We would need 40 people.
Yeah. So what we would do, to your point earlier, you mentioned separate meetings with Nick. What we would do is, if you gave the go-ahead, we would pick an effective date, we would prepare enrollment materials, and then we would come to do group enrollment meetings with your folks at those departments. And then we would educate them in a group enrollment. We would ask them to turn in the enrollment form to either sign up or waive off. Again, no pressure.
Right.
We're not going to meet one-on-one. We're not going to encourage them to participate if they don't want to.
Just gotta know.
But we just need their form, yes or no, and then we determine where we go from there. So that's what would happen from an enrollment
Okay,
perspective.
now this says eligible 30 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
The state allows, I disagree with it, but the state allows us and council members to be on the health insurance plan, which has the same requirement, but that doesn't apply to health insurance. Does it apply to this? Well, elected officials, non-regular scheduled employees be eligible for this program?
No, not for the disability plan.
Okay.
The life insurance piece, if you wanted to make the commissioners available for life or voluntary life, we would allow that.
Okay.
The reason is there's a risk differential there. On disability, we're protecting income.
Okay.
And because we're protecting income, we want to protect somebody's full-time income
Okay.
and not just part-time. Life insurance, we're protecting mortality, and
Yeah.
we're much more comfortable on that side.
No,
So,
would take it anyway. I'm
Yeah.
sure you could ask them to take the
yeah,
salary.
understand.
Salary.
No, this would just be regular full-time eligible employees at minimum 30. If you said, well, really, we want 35 or 40, we could do that. We just don't go any less than 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? I know I covered that really quickly. It's a lot of info, but I know you got a lot on your agenda. So,
Well, I think
anything about the plan that you have questions on?
No, I think it's good stuff. I have not seen anything come from you guys that hasn't been good stuff yet. So
Yeah.
so far we're really
And disability is one of those things that, quite honestly, people don't think about.
They don't.
I happen to have a disability plan. I'm a CPA, so I'm
Yep.
a member of
Makes
the
sense.
CPA.
Yep.
And I don't even know what insurance company they use, but
Yep.
through AICPA, I have a disability program.
Right.
Because, and when I worked for the state, I worked for the state of Indiana for a long time.
Right.
We had disability for the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
But people don't think of the fact that, okay, if I get hurt tomorrow, how am I going to pay my bills?
That's right.
Because if they can't go to work, they're not going to have a paycheck.
So what do you need from
And so disability is just something that I think just people don't think about.
That's right.
And it's getting their choice whether they want to do it or not. But
Yep.
they need to understand that, if this is available, they could help cover some expenses.
Absolutely.
And it's relatively cheap. I mean, you're talking $20 a month. Or whatever.
To cover your income, right? Income
Disability
protection is
stuff.
pretty cheap.
Yes,
Right?
it is. I agree. So what do you need from us?
The only thing we would need, if you decided you wanted to move forward, then you would let Nick and Trevor know. We would work with their team to pick an effective date, and then we would do a back end from there to figure out when we would do the enrollments, to have time to do that, to get the forms in to make the plan effective. And then we talked about an anniversary date. Just to be clear on that, if you wanted to line it up with your life and voluntary life anniversary date, which is January 1, by the way, let's just say, to pick a date, you decide you want to do this plan July 1st.
Yeah.
We could do it July 1st, but all the anniversaries can be lined up on January, so it's all the same. There's a small incentive in this. This is not going to make any difference for you, but I want to point it out. If you decide you want to implement the voluntary disability plans, your life and voluntary life renewal is 1/1 of 2023. We would extend that to 1/1 of 2024, and then we would line all of that up together. So there'd be a little bit of incentive on the life and the voluntary life insurance side. The last thing I'll mention is just something to consider if you decide that you want to do this. Your voluntary life insurance participation is about 20% right now, which is on the low end. We average somewhere about 35 to 40% on our block. The plan's not been re-enrolled for quite some time, so what we would suggest is if you decided to do this, we would also mention the voluntary life insurance, give them a chance to sign up for that on a guarantee issue basis also.
How much is the life insurance that we offer now?
$20,000.
Yeah.
You offer $20,000 paid. Yes, and then they have the opportunity to purchase more on their own.
And
Up
we do
to
have some employees already enrolled in that.
yeah, you got 20, approximately 20 that are on that plan. But this would just be an opportunity to tell them we're already there at a group meeting. Hey, maybe your circumstances have changed financially. Here's one thing I will tell you: everybody has life insurance more on their mind due to the pandemic. We actually just did a re-enrollment with Trevor and his team on a group. It was a school, but the participation doubled. And it's simply because people were thinking about life insurance. So the idea on that is there's no downside. If we only get 10 more people to take it, fine. If we double it, great. But it would be an opportunity to expose your people to additional life insurance if they wanted to do that. The people that are already in it, nothing changes for them unless they wanted to increase it, which they would have the opportunity to do.
And also spouse and children.
Right.
Okay.
The voluntary covers spouse and children.
Yeah. So that's all we need from you if you decide you want to move forward
I've
and
got a
let them
question
know.
for you, really, another question.
Yeah.
I know we have from kids to old folks all the way through. Most of ours have no knowledge, have never had opportunity or never had any information on long-term care. So we talk about it. Do you offer long-term care as a voluntary program?
We don't. Okay. No, and there right now, frankly, there's about one carrier in the market that offers it on a group insurance basis. Okay. It's really all purchased on an individual basis with long-term care.
Most of them I see are individual.
Yeah, we actually do long-term care as a company on an individual basis, and it's asset-based long-term care, meaning that an individual purchases a life insurance contract that either pays them when they pass away or it pays if they need long-term care expenses. But it's not group insurance, it's not guarantee issue, it's a totally different forum. Unfortunately, the one carrier that's offering it on a long-term care basis has had rate increase after rate increase after rate increase because you really can't give away guarantee issue with long-term care.
And
the
people don't get
financials don't
interested
work
in it until they get to a certain age.
That's right.
It's too late. Then you
that's exactly right.
And, well, like you mentioned, everything we brought to you was worthwhile and valuable. There's a reason we haven't brought that to you. Personally, from our team, we don't see a ton of value in the long-term care policies. Just with inflation and how some of those places get so expensive so fast.
Right.
Some you could pay into a policy that really only covers a small percentage of what you actually write it for.
Yep.
Lincoln's what I see mostly.
Yeah.
With my clients, my tax clients.
Right.
They if they're buying long-term health care, it's through Lincoln.
Right.
My mom just got done paying into one for 30 years, got ready to retire and move in, found out it almost did nothing for her. So
my mom had one like that too. Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's been more horror stories than savior stories.
30 years ago when she bought it was a big buck she was talking about.
I know.
$1,000 a month or whatever it was.
And now it costs $5,000 a month just to get in the door somewhere.
You mentioned with the lady here earlier with IPEP on the insurance. I just thought it'd be a good point to talk about that. If we do this and we do the enrollment meetings, we would also remind individuals, if you don't currently do this, to update their beneficiaries.
Right.
We really like them to take a look at that because I can tell you we as a company unfortunately pay ex-spouses ex-boyfriends, girlfriends all the time,
Right.
because we have to pay based on a form, not on intent.
Right.
So it'd just be another good opportunity to remind individuals, and we provide them that form if they wanted to update it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
The intent of the mail went out was to get that accomplished, and it said you have to return this by a certain
Yes.
date.
Yeah.
But they didn't know if they really had to return it, or why am I doing this? They just didn't understand. So,
Yeah. And to the point with that, it pays regardless.
Yes.
It's
Right.
just a matter of who it pays to.
Right.
It doesn't get delayed or not. It doesn't nullify a payment, but
Right.
just something to keep in mind regarding that. Okay?
So what's the difference between your company, Aflac, and Colonial Life?
Yeah, so we are a
Why do you have-
completely separate company, obviously,
Right, all
from
three
our
are
standpoint, and we are on a group insurance chassis, which means everything we do is guarantee issue. The Aflac and Colonial plans, they're worksite products, so some of them, you have to fill out medical questions or you have to answer a short medical form. With ours, you only do that if you don't take advantage of it when it's initially offered. So we're just all separate companies. We are the only one that are going to offer long-term disability coverage. Neither one of those are going to offer long-term.
And Laura, from our perspective, the contract, they have a much stronger contract. I always say insurance is like an asterisk business. You buy it and then there's asterisks. There you get the least amount with the One America contract. It's the strongest contract. That's why we use it the most.
But you'll get asked that if somebody's on
Of
that.
course.
Now they're wondering, why did I change?
Absolutely.
And you need to convince them whether they need to change.
Yeah,
Whether they
and
need
by
to
the
change.
way on that, they can actually have both of those, and our job is not to go in and make anybody make a decision about changing. That needs to be an adult personal decision. They can have both of those
And they
if they
both
want to
pay.
do that, and
They
they
both
both
pay.
pay. That's exactly right. We do not offset or integrate with Colonial or Aflac or any of those. So, yeah, we want to avoid the situation where somebody becomes insurance poor.
Right.
You've seen those scenarios where somebody has just hundreds of dollars coming out of their paycheck. That's not what we're in the business of doing. We're in the business of insuring somebody for a disability if they have one. But
Right.
we can help them also make that decision and just provide them a little guidance if they have a question on that.
I don't know why we wouldn't offer this, so I'll get in touch with you.
Okay.
That's fine.
We'll get something going.
Perfect.
I think both these are good. I'm really encouraged now on so the pharmaceutical actually came along quicker than I thought it was, Nick. I thought after the orthopedic it would be coming, but how's the cardio coming along? Is that moving at all?
Still a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
Richard's working with St. Vincent really
Yeah.
hard on that.
Yep.
Since St. Vincent's the leader on the cardiovascular side,
Okay.
I don't think he has a contract in place yet.
Okay.
But it'd be good to touch base with Richard,
Okay.
kind of poke the bear a little bit, see what you get.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know he's working with St. Vincent really hard on it.
All right. These are great programs. They save us all money. So
That's what my cardiologist says anyway, so we're good. So.
Good.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Great
Thanks,
seeing you.
guys,
Take
for your
care.
time.
You too.
Appreciate it. If you have any questions, let us know.
Okay.
What about the joint, like a knee replacement, all that, how's that coming?
We already
Hendricks.
approved that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
done.
approved.
That
That's
was
done.
that was with the RX?
No, that was
Hendricks.
Hendricks.
Separate, okay.
Hendricks we did last week.
Yep.
Oh, and then Jim, just one more thing I forgot to say. If you guys decide to move forward with the RX, and you do have these meetings, and it's not too much, if we're gonna, we don't wanna bombard people with stuff, but that if you're gonna get a good attendance, that may be something we would introduce the disability while you've got the people there for being educated on both. And we'd make sure to draw a fine line so we can, separate them out, but.
Yeah, you guys, that's what you guys do. So whichever way works best for our people to understand what the heck's going on without
Yeah.
overwhelming them, that's what we need.
That's what we wanna make sure we can avoid,
You
so.
guys figure that out.
Okay,
All
sounds
right.
good. Thanks, guys. See you.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
All righty. Wow, 5:30 already. We're rolling here. Bury my agenda here. So we have two contracts. So one here that we have already approved verbally, but we need to vote on it. This is the contract with Harris Software Systems for the training, which is coming the 21st and 22nd. We had a change of personnel there. Josh is back, and Josh has said that he would like to take the training, and Laura's going to offer to other people who are in the office at the same time. So the contract is for $24.50.
Is that April 21st and 22nd?
Yes, yeah.
So
Coming up
this week.
Mhm. So the $24.50 is the contract. That's $150 an hour for 2 7-hour days. The only addition to this would be the actual cost of what the hotel room was for the lady to stay, her mileage from up around Fort Wayne, and her per diem meals.
It'll be a little higher than that.
Yeah, so it'd be, the number we guessed it before was about 3,200, 32 something by the time it's done. So we just need a motion to approve that, so we get that in the minutes that we've approved this, and then we can send it back.
I make a motion into the contract with Harris for the 2 days of training training itself for $24.50 plus motels and food and mileage.
And I'll second
I
that.
said
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
And I've already sent that contract to her after we agreed.
That's Thursday and
on
Friday.
Yes.
Thursday and Friday,
This
yes.
Thursday, Friday.
Well,
Okay,
I may try to get up for some of that. I might watch, I'm gonna go through the full 2 days, obviously,
Would
but
you
I
like to
may
come
come
along?
up. And there's some things I think that
I think that'd be a fantastic idea. That's the
That
best
they-
thing I've ever heard.
that they can print out to help on this other thing too, so.
Good.
Yes,
I'll talk to Harris lady.
that'd be great.
you ever
I'll
been
see.
involved with that accounting kind of stuff before? You do that?
Never seen it before.
Do that, Matt? Okay, I'll quit being a smart aleck here. IDM, we have a letter there from IDM about permit application from the, that's the AI camp out by Turkey Run. They just allow them to construct this, the improvements for their septic system. We have the next level project. And that's page back, just informing us what's going on with that. And then we have a contract that I printed off here for the ambulance that we need to purchase. I have copies of those for you guys. See if I can find all those here. I have papers everywhere this time. Here it is, North Central.
North Central, yeah, we got
Yes,
that.
okay.
Yes.
So the contract is for $238,799, and the $99,990 of it is coming from the insurance coverage, and then the other would come from other funds. We're going to talk about those other funds here in a moment, how we want to do that. But we just need a motion to approve the contract to make that purchase of that ambulance.
Okay, we're gonna talk about the other funds. Do we have the funds available?
Yes.
Good.
Well, if we choose to take it out of.
Yes. We're going to talk
If
about all
we
those
don't
here.
wanna take it out of that, we don't have the funds available.
But they would find it then, the council.
Yeah, the council, we
had
put
it.
the burden of proof
Yes,
back
the
on.
council
Yeah,
had
I
it.
mean, we do have to have an ambulance. We don't have a
Yes.
choice. It
Yeah,
brought up,
right.
but for the same token.
Right, so
I don't
we'll
want to put anybody in a bind.
we'll
But it's
decide
just
here in a
that
minute
if
about
we
where it
don't-
comes from.
If we don't use the recovery money,
Yeah.
the council's just gonna have to
Yeah,
dig and scratch and figure out what funds have
right.
availability of money to come up with that kind
So it'll be $138,799 they have to
of, a
come
lot
up
of money
with.
to try to
Yes.
find, but they might be able to find it, I don't know. But
So,
if we take it out of recovery money, it doesn't matter.
so is there a motion to approve?
Well, you mean the contract for
Yes,
the
yes.
purchasing?
Yes. Regardless of where the money comes from.
Well,
we need
we've
a
gotta
contract for
have,
that, yeah.
we've gotta have it, being services, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the contract with North Central Emergency Vehicles for the purchase of a new, ambulance.
And I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will go ahead here and sign this contract and get this to Julie because she has to pick it up. And she needs a check in hand for the $238,799. So we need a motion for an out-of-cycle check for that amount.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the out-of-cycle check for the amount, to purchase the ambulance.
And I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So Laura, if you could take care of that, please. Here, I will give you this contract as well, so,
And then I need this one signed also, so we've
Okay.
got two of them.
okay. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and go through the projects first, and then we'll talk about the money and how we move that. And I talked with Dave Bottorff at AIC today, and I talked with Roy today, so I think we've got a reasonable thing here for you. Bruce, you weren't able to attend that meeting. There should be a booklet in someplace for you. He left those. Remember who he left those with? Does Cindy have those maybe?
I don't think they left a
I thought he had like 4 books that he could leave. Maybe not. Maybe that's something else I'm thinking of. Anyway.
I don't think he left an extra.
Oh, let's go ahead and let Randy. He doesn't have to stick around for this, and Justin both. But Randy, you got something for us? Let's get you done so we can set you free too.
I think the sheriff's right hand man done left, didn't he?
Yeah. Let's not add much. I wanted my wife would be along, so she knows. Well, I didn't see you back there, Pam. How are you? Haven't seen you forever.
Yeah.
Getting any gizzards anymore?
No,
Really? Jeez.
no.
We got our insurance check for the truck we lost during the ice storm. I think about $116,000, something like that. So I was at the council meeting Thursday, and telling them it's taking us about a year to get trucks, you know, so.
Yeah.
I asked them about going ahead and ordering another one, and they told me to go ahead and do that, so.
And I was there. I witnessed that, so that's all
Yeah.
they said. Not paying for it yet, but go ahead and order with the
Yeah.
expectation that they will pay for it when it comes, so.
So I've got the bid, those bidders. If you guys just make a motion on that and sign it.
Is it the same kind of truck we had
Same,
before?
the same bid as last time.
Okay.
It's the one we just, same contract and the same one we just
Yeah.
had purchased before.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the exact replica of it. I mean, it's not the same contract, but it's,
Yes, I understand.
And
I thought I brought 2 of those, but I didn't. Yes. So we'll get you.
that's okay. I don't need one. I'm just trying to see what the price is on it.
Well, there's no price on it.
Oh, there's not a price.
No, this
This is
is
a notice to the bidder.
notice to the bidder.
I thought you already had it in your hand from them.
No.
Okay.
We haven't heard anything.
So do you expect the price to be similar to what we got in the check?
Well, it'd be higher than the check.
How old was the truck?
Oh, shoot, I don't
A
remember.
couple years?
No, it was 4 or 5.
Oh, okay. Well, it will be quite a difference then. Did you see this?
No,
No.
I don't see.
I'm talking about the truck we just ordered.
This is the same, we just ordered a truck a while back at Newton.
Yeah.
This is not the one that
No, but-
replaced the insurance, one that lost the insurance.
No, but we're gonna
No,
need
but we're
another,
gonna use this
Okay.
to replace that.
we're gonna use
Okay.
another
I
$16,000.
was confused. I thought
Okay.
we were in the process of buying a replacement for the one that we
Well-
damaged. That's why you brought up about the insurance. I thought you were saying we needed to approve that to replace that.
No,
one.
we'll have to put more money with the
Ah,
insurance.
okay. All
But
right.
instead of,
I'm on the same page.
instead of wasting the money, I found a couple trucks, $90,000. Instead of wasting on a used one, something
Yeah,
happened to it.
I'm with you
Put it
now.
towards a new one.
I'm with you now. I was confused.
So instead of having one coming, we'll have 2 coming.
Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
this one may be a little while behind it.
Yes, I understand.
So you just need a motion from us to release the bids on this?
But yes,
Okay.
advertise for the bids.
Okay.
Is that your motion?
That's my
And I
motion.
second it.
I made a motion that we approve, give Randy the authority to go ahead and release this for bids on the truck. And it's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Was it a Volvo?
Yes. Got more information with 191.
Okay.
91.
Okay.
Button.
Laura needs to sign that.
Needs some-
Apparently, yes. Yeah, I've been out there and looked at it. Fact is, I've been trying to find somebody that can actually drive some piling under there. Sheet
I
metal.
was saying something about put some shot treat in it.
Yeah,
He's got a little thing.
Okay.
filled out
I'll hand
Okay.
this on over
Do you
and
need this right now?
have them to look at it.
in there. Yes, we'll make you a copy.
Okay,
Janie will probably be up tomorrow.
that's fine.
Got a clipper you can have here.
Thank you.
What else you got?
Let's see. I talked to Jim about this at the council meeting. I'll bring it up. County Road 200 North, it's a old cost share. and it's getting bad shape, and same with 275 north.
200 and 275, if you go past the golf course, down the hill and up, 200 is the first one on the right, 275 is the next one on the right.
There at the tower, 275 is.
Goes over to Marshall Road, both of them do.
But the chip and seals only go by halfway.
Okay.
Marshall Road.
Before you get to Marshall Road on 200, once you get on the top of the hill, then it goes back to gravel. Same thing with, once you get past where the housing is out there, where that pond used to be, but there's a little housing area there, and going up the hill, then it goes back then
Yeah.
to material as well.
But they're in really bad shape. We got them patched, but they're rougher than a cob, and places you can't patch. So I was thinking about maybe postponing Beedale Road 1. That's from Strawberry Road to Golf Course Road. That one we can patch it up and it'll last another year. We'll do it next year. Then go and do Golf Course Road and Beedale Road on into Bloomingdale.
Up north.
Yeah. That way they got a good way out to the highway, and then we do those other two roads. I think it's only about 200 feet difference in the length of those two together versus
Beedale
Road.
So we already authorized for him to pay BDO 1, so what he's asking is to swap out BDO 1 to do 200 and 275 instead, and I was okay with that if you guys were okay with that.
I haven't traveled in both, but you're gonna know,
Oh,
or all
they're
three of them, you're gonna know more about what kind of shape they're in than we do.
Yeah, they're pretty bad shape.
If that's what you recommend, I don't have a problem with it at all.
Then I make the motion that we authorize Randy to change our agreement, that instead of doing BDL 1 from the Golf Course Road south to Strawberry Road this year, he'll do that next year, and this year he will do 200 and 275 north, east of 41.
Which is pretty close to the same mileage we're
Yes.
switching, and I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have. Unless you folks have
All right.
anything for me.
You get a chance to look at that one I told you about on the Cold Bluff Road, where they had done the tree trim.
Yeah.
There's something we need to do there.
Oh, there's a few stumps we cut down. I mean,
He said that pipe was plugged and water was going over his drive now because of the stuff, so whatever you think.
it didn't look like it was plugged. But I'll
Okay. Check it again and see.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
On Cold Bluff Road, 8366 Cold Bluff Road, east of 59,
Yeah,
north of Cold Bluff Road, yeah, I mean on Cold Bluff Road, there you go. So they had done some trimming and left,
Yeah, I see
they left the
that.
brush. And I told them, look, we're gonna have to leave brush wherever we go. We can't pick up brush over 700 miles of road, we just can't do that, so that'll use. But he said he used to mow that all over, I'm not sure how much he had mowed on that. But Randy and I did discuss, he did have a complaint about, and Randy and I talked before, but the guys have kind of slid back, I think. We need to stop leaving foot or so stumps, or those jagged, sharp edged stumps. They need to take those down to the ground as best they can.
Is this stuff we trimmed?
Yes.
Yes.
That I had gotten contact a couple of different times with Duke Energy. I noticed on, Jeffries Ford Road, and then also on Bridgeton Road, there before you get into Bridgeton, tree trimming companies for the power lines that threw, there's probably altogether 1.5, 2 pickup loads of big chunks, and they just threw them in the ditch. Where we'd done all that blacktopping. They said they'd come get them, and last I checked over that way, they haven't. So it's kind of irritable too when they plug up the ditches with it. So
And I'll go down and look at it again.
Okay, thanks.
Check the pipe. I didn't check the pipe. I just looked at
All right.
the cut.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, one more thing. Speaking of Jeffries Ford, I think it's the first little concrete culvert you come to.
Okay.
There's two of
Before
them
you
little
get
bridges.
right off the Bridgeton Road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the first one. It is starting to scour out from under it.
Is it?
Needs some riprap. It don't need concrete or anything, but it looks like it needs some riprap to keep that creek from running, keep it running in the right direction. So
Yeah,
next
well,
time you're
before we
digging,
get to that,
I understand.
Our
Next
grade,
time.
I take the grade all up to Indianapolis today. Got a leak on the center pan, which I hope they don't have to remove the house, but it'd be expensive. And then all the rollers in the boom wearing out, so when I get those put in, get it adjusted. So.
All right.
On Martin Road just off of Ferndale where it was breaking off the edges, breaking off. What did you do for that?
Not do anything
Nothing,
yet.
okay. Okay.
Well, next time you're down that way, look under there
Okay.
where it's scouring.
Okay.
All right,
We'll do that.
thank you, Randy, have a good evening.
You too.
All right, the other thing, under old business here still, we have, anything new on the health board? That isn't, we need to have a Democrat.
Yes,
You need to have a Democrat registered, didn't have to do that.
yes.
So I've not heard of anybody else looking to do that. Travis could not, because he was not, is that
No,
correct?
he was not.
Okay.
The other one was they actually Democrat, or did they vote Democrat, do you know?
I didn't check with the
Okay.
clerk's office.
I guess we need to check
Need
and
to
find
find
out,
out.
because there was one on there that
There's
said
one on there
weak
that-
Democrat, but they
Yeah.
voted Republican
Yeah.
part of the time. And
Yeah, okay,
We
see,
just-
look and see. It's whatever they voted last time.
Yeah.
All right, then what I have is, on this core facility stuff, Bruce, what we met and talked about with the proposals, he had done all the RFPs for
I knew
that.
that he was gonna report on.
And these are the numbers, he made recommendations on which ones to approve with the bids that there were. And, so these are the amounts for the flush valves replacement at the jail, $141,655. The Resner furnaces at the jail, $128,240. The boiler at the jail, $51,760. Make that $767 instead of 86 cents. I used to see one out there on that. And then in the courthouse, the fire annunciation, that's $96,967. And then, so he offered us then to administer those, to be the site manager, basically, is what we're talking about, is a contract. Here's the cost related to each one of those projects. For a total of not to exceed $34,000 on all those projects. $6,000 for the flush valve replacement, $8,000 for the jail furnaces, $8,000 for the boiler, and then $12,000 for the enunciation. The courthouse enunciation is going to be a bear. It's going to be all hardwired. Nobody does wireless anymore for fire enunciation, so it's all going to have to be hardwired. So that was his not to exceed, and we just need a motion to approve this. The council is aware of it as well. And then we can talk about all those funds again here in a moment then. So any questions on that?
okay, what was our totals on these up to that point?
Okay, right on that paper I gave you down at the bottom, it's total on that paper here. So, well, okay, the total on those was not to exceed $34,000 on the administration side.
Yes.
So those numbers there, again, up the top there was flush valves were $141,655. Resner furnace was $128,240. The boiler replacement was $51,767. Fire enunciation system was $96,967. His administration fee to site manage those is $34,000. The other thing we asked him to do was for $12,000 was to do the RFP request for the jail siding replacement.
Yes.
That $100,000 there was just an estimate of what it might cost. I know it won't cost that much, but I put that in. But if we take it out, the total amount of all those projects is $464,629.
Okay, leave the 12 in, because we already asked him to do that.
Yes, leave the 12 in, take the 100
But
out.
the 100 needs to come out,
Yes.
because there's nothing set in stone, because
Right.
we don't know what we're doing
Right,
yet.
right. That was just to give us approximate number of money that we have, art money to pay for these things. So
Yes.
464,629. So that's what we need to approve.
Now, wait just a minute here. Was there, before we do that, was there something on a deadline? Was that why we had that 100,000 in there to do that transfer?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute on that.
Okay.
So let's do this first, and then we'll talk about all that. That is why I talked to Dave Bodoff about the MAIC today, and so he recommends we just move all of the remaining art money, not move it, but identify it as
Basically, we're going
revenue replacement.
We can do this 464, 629, and then ear notch after that.
Yes, we can actually do the whole thing, because we're also going to be taking the 150 for the ambulance, so the 138,799, whatever that number was, also out of those funds as well we can do.
Okay.
So this is what we need to approve as far as the projects that we have lined up with him. So we just need a motion for the 464,
Yes.
629.
Yep.
Is that your motion?
Yes, I make a motion, we approve the projects for the jail and the courthouse for the $464,629.
And I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will notify him that those have been approved. Now, what we're talking about the funds, we have 3.2 million in the ARC funds. 1.5 million of that's committed already to broadband.
Yes.
Right.
And the new regulations from the state is that we have two options. When we identify this, we have a report. The report you're thinking of is April 30th, has to be in April 30th.
Yes,
So Laura will have to fill that out. She has to log in to the site to do that. But Cindy will work with you on that, how to get that done, what that needs to look like. So Cindy Todd will work with you on that.
Basically, since they shifted gears, there's other things they allowed us to use this for,
Yes.
other than just broadband.
So when we
That's why
identify,
we're doing these repairs with.
when we fill out that report, we have two options how to designate those funds. We can designate them as a per operation, or we can move them all up to the $10 million limit. We only have 3.2 million as revenue replacement, and there's no audit, no accounting for where that revenue came from. And I talked to Dave Bodor for AIC, and he said he doesn't very often tell commissioners what to do, but he said he sees no reason why you wouldn't move it all in there. That way it frees up your ability to pay whatever needs you have in the county without having to do an audit and an accounting of each project that you have. And so that would be the recommendation of the council. We talked with the council about
Yes.
that. And to make the bookkeeping easier, same project, you're not doing anything you weren't gonna do anyway, but you can pay those out of that ARP money then. So we need to add the price of the ambulance to that. That'd be,
So we still need to approve and move the.
yes, and that's that next number you have down there.
The $12,000 for them to do the engineering and calculate what can be done.
No, that's included in this right here.
That already is included?
Yes, as well as the RFP of the 12,000, so that's both in there. Only thing we have left then is enough money to cover whatever the jail siding might be, and 150,000 actually, but we can make it 150 because we have more than that in the ARC fund now.
Okay.
So his recommendation was to not to worry about these individual amounts, but to transfer the remaining amount to, I keep saying transfer, identify it as revenue replacement. So then all the remaining money that we have, the 1.7 million, would go in as revenue replacement, and then we can do all these projects out of there without having to do a separate audit for each
Okay,
separate
so you want to make a motion to go ahead and move the 1.7 million, is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what we need to do, yeah.
Okay. And we're not actually moving it though, we're
Just identifying.
identifying.
We have option 1 or option 2, would be taking option 2 on the audit, on the report. I was guaranteed by the council that we would not lose control of it. This is commissioner money to spend, not council money to spend. The original thought was if you made it as revenue replacement, and of course they changed rules on this a dozen times as we've gone through this, was that it was going to go to general fund. In that case, we wouldn't have control over it anymore, but we're obligated by the state that commissioners have to decide where this needs to be spent.
But then if you move it to the general fund, then.
Council decides where it
The council
goes.
just decides whatever they want to
Yes.
spend it on.
And so.
But there is still limits though.
Oh, still limits. There are things you can't do.
That's what I
Yes,
thought.
like pensions and those kind of things. You cannot use it for that. But this opens up for other projects that you can. They finally
We
come to
still
read.
weren't allowed to use anything for roads.
No,
That was
not
brought
for
up
roads.
in the meeting,
Yes.
so.
But originally, before they changed the rules again, if it was real revenue replacement money, you could prove those dollars. You could use those on roads, but only on bridge approaches. You couldn't use it any place else. So those are the rules they were going through.
I guess unless we make 5-mile bridge approaches.
Yeah, yeah. So, like your motion said, so the recommendation would be to take the remaining funds from after broadband to identify those as a revenue replacement.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All fair, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So then, we just need to approve, we've already approved the contract for the ambulance purchase, so that money, we don't have to send this. I just put that total amount of all the projects we're looking at in case we want to move just that much, but now we just move the whole thing in, we don't have to break these out anymore.
We're not moving it, we're ear notching. We're What we done here was we're moving this
Yes.
amount, now we need to move 150,000.
Yes. There's nothing here that would not have qualified had we had to do it the old way.
Yes.
But by doing it the old way with the option of just identifying it all as revenue replacement, we don't have to audit each one of these and send in each one. And that's the purpose of the state now, is to simplify that process.
So now I make a motion, we move 150,000 for the replacement animals.
Actually, it's already in there, but that's part of the,
That was part of the 464?
no, that's part of the 1.7. We
Oh,
just
okay.
moved over. So all of it's moved over now, so we don't have to break it out as that little piece. So I can,
Good.
so when Laura does that report, it has to move out by April 28th. But
You said that Cindy's gonna have those totals?
she'll get with you, yeah, she'll get with you, tell you what these look like. She was going to do it for the art group, but she can't, it has to be your login to do that.
Right.
But she'll explain that to you how that works.
Got
And,
that.
and we have two options on there, how to designate that money, either option 1 or option 2, and option 2 is the one that the state recommends we take, but just identifies the whole thing as revenue replacement.
So we're taking option 2?
Option 2.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's all I have on those things. Now, we approved the contract with him for the not to exceed 34,000. Now we need to do the one for the 12,000 for the RFP for the jail. Let me see here.
Oh, the contract itself.
Yes, contract with him for the.
He's gonna do all the work.
That's it. He's doing all the RFPs. And it says what he's gonna do is he's gonna solidify at least 4 companies agreeing to do with the RFP, and he's got his things there, so my recommendation would be that, and this is already something they've already agreed to, they were at the meeting when they agreed to it, so we entered into contract with court facilities to do the RFPs for the jail siding replacement.
And courthouse.
Um,
It's all,
That's already done.
okay.
Those RFPs are
All
already
right,
done.
I'll second that one.
This is just the extra one now for the jail siding. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let me sign these while I have them in hand. So we are committed to the 12,000 for the new RFP for the jail siding. And I have just signed the contract for the not to exceed 34,000 for the administration of those 4 projects that we've already approved.
Approved, okay.
Jeez, long meeting here. I think we are about caught up. I've got a blue paper like this that I'm missing. I gotta find that.
I didn't pick it up, did I?
That's that one. No, I think it's under here, I think. Nope, that's not it, but let me find it before we move on. I've stuck it somewhere. Let's go Central. Had it in my little hand. Oh, well, I'll find it. I know I got it. I'll find it. All right. Let me see if we have anything else on the agenda that we have to do. We've had a full night, guys.
I do have one thing on the agenda for
Yep.
myself.
Yep, we're not quite there yet. Hang on just a minute. Let me make sure we got all this other stuff out of the way, and then you are good to go.
So Cindy's got all the totals and everything that I'm uploading them, is that correct?
Yes, she'll have all that stuff for you. Yep. Yep. Hang on just a second. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. So we have everybody done. Okay. Laura has an auditor report she'd like to give. So Laura, you are on.
Okay, so I would like for this to be in the newspaper, that what a AFR report is our county's financial records have to be uploaded into the state gateway report. Those records were incorrectly uploaded into the state gateway. The totals were all there. They weren't in the correct categories, and now that has been completely fixed. The State Board of Accounts has approved. When I went in there and I fixed the Indiana State Gateway, that is now completed and correct. So the gateway is now correct and matches our financials.
That's great. Good job.
So then the second thing is on Josh Melbourne, when he came in here on March the 18th, complaining about his Volunteer insurance, I went and checked with the AUL. He never had that insurance to start with. So how can he say that he got a letter that his insurance was canceled when he never had the insurance to start with? And I went back to the payroll system, and in January of 2020, the payroll clerk, for some reason, took out less than $3 on there. The county has refunded him that money last summer.
So he thought that deduction was for that insurance, is that what it was?
He thought he had,
Okay.
it was a payroll error. Somehow, the payroll clerk put in the wrong amount and on the AUL, and the AUL he never had. So if you never had the insurance, how can you get a bill that you says the county never paid it and it's canceled, because he never received that at all.
So this is something he did not sign up for, you're saying?
That is correct. He never signed up for it.
He thought he had, but he had not.
And he never got a letter from any company saying the county didn't pay it, because what the county does is all those deductions comes out, but then the payroll, all your volunteer insurance gets paid. Whatever the dollar amount is, that's what the county pays for the volunteer insurance. That volunteer insurance, there's like about 12 different companies that we pay. And on those companies, they send us a bill with a list of all the employees on there and the dollar amounts. And that is what the county pays. It does not get paid right after their payroll. It gets paid when we receive the invoices.
Has the employees gone over their enrollment forms? Have you?
I sent them out an enrollment thing that for them to, as a blank one, with listing all the different companies that the county has, and for them to report what ones that they do have, so we can do a comparison to make sure that is correctly on their payroll.
And that'll be part of the audit we'll have to do, is see
Yes.
what's been taken out and what's been paid.
And I'm trying to get everything up to date. Josh is back for us. The month of the end of January, February, and March was pretty rough on payroll. We did get the employees paid, and I've got all the 457B and the police pension. That's all paid up to date.
And we may, if I may point out another example of where some of that information was incorrect, we had an employee that was upset because the county had not paid their insurance that they had been enrolled in for some time. After the auditor checked into it, it turned out that error was on the insurance company's part. They had not sent an invoice to cover requesting that to be paid, and that's why that wasn't paid. It wasn't an error on the auditor's part, it was an error on the insurance company, because they did not send
a bill for it, so you wouldn't know to pay for it.
That's exactly right. Yep.
It wasn't billed for.
And the same way with the HSAs, that the volunteer HSA that they put in, those were all into the bank, but the employee went into their bank account and selected deposit, and it shows all the deposits. Well, the bank had a credit memo, so she'd also, if she would, it was on the bank arrow, because when you're going, that employee would also have to select credit memo to get everything. She'd have to have the credit memo and the deposits, and then that would equal the 26 HSA payments that she put in there. So all the HSA payments were put in last year. There was nothing that was missed.
Okay.
It's just when she did her bank account, she didn't put in enough information to get all of that. And we went to First Financial Bank, and that employees went to First Financial Bank, and everything is there. That's not an auditor problem. That was a bank problem.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, but I'm trying to get everything up to date and do the best I can to get everything.
Well, that's what we said a
going
few weeks ago.
wrong.
We just need to fix the problems that we've had and move forward, and we figure out how to make people hold the backside. Yep. I do have one more piece of business for us, just to codify to get it in the minutes. We did this via email because it was an emergency situation. It had to be done that day. The insurance company was trying to get a place for the ambulance workers to stay. In the Berg building, there were bedrooms because the ambulance people work 24-hour shifts, so they're 24 hours for 3 days, and or whatever the shift number of days is at the time. but it's 24 hours, and so they need a place to sleep, place to clean up, place to keep their stuff. That's all gone now. So the insurance company had hired to rent a trailer, mobile home, for $42,000 for the 6 months' time from a place in Missouri. And Julie, the director, had called and it was ready to go. We had to hire our own transport people. The transport people went to Missouri to pick up this trailer. The lady at the trailer place told them where it was. They went to that lot. It wasn't there. And they called back and the lady said, no, it's right there. They said, we're standing there and there's the post. There's no trailer in this lot. And so it was gone. They assumed the trailer had been stolen. We needed a trailer now. So the insurance company authorized the county, and the insurance company paying for it 100%. They authorized us to go to Skis out here and buy 2 campers, trailers, at a cost of $31,495 each, for a total then of $62,990. And so we talked about that also, got that third to go, because it had to be done then. They had to get it then. So the auditor's office worked to get a check cut. We took the check out. I went out with Julie, took the check out, and we purchased 2 $31,495 trailers. They are going to be hooked up at the ambulance service with sewer. The town's coming out to hook it up to sewer, and we have the electric. At the end of the 6 months or 9 months, however long we need these, even though we paid for them with a check out of the insurance money that the insurance people had gave us, I signed for them. The titles are going to be in our name, but we will give them back to the insurance company. And then the insurance company will sell them to the county at salvage, which is going to be really pennies on the dollar. We don't have to buy them back. We can just give it all to the insurance company. They pay for it anyway. It's their traders. But typically they will sell them back to the county, so the county can buy them back for pennies on the dollar, and then we are free to do with whatever you want. Skis has already said that they would buy it back if the price was right, or we can offer them to sell at an auction, closed bids to employees or anybody else who may want them. So that's not an undone deal for us, or a bad deal for us. So just to get it codified now in the minutes that we approve this, I would make the motion that we approve the purchase of 2 trailers from Skis RV for the total cost of $62,990 to be paid for totally 100% from the insurance company by insurance company funds. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Do you need a contract for that? You got an invoice? Did Julie get an invoice to you from those?
Got that invoice,
Okay.
I think, because Michelle wrote out the check, so I
Okay.
think she's got.
That'll work.
Whatever you've got right there, that's what Michelle wrote the checks out.
That'll work. That'll work. I think that's the end of the day. I think you guys got anything? Good thing. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
So done.